see so many educators and industry leaders here to celebrate career and technical education. Career Tech Vision 2012 is about you, about helping you to be your best so that your students can be their best and realize their dreams. Before we officially begin the opening session, please join me in listening to a final piece by the Benjamin E. Mays High School Jazz Orchestra, directed by William J. Irvin. Please join me in thanking the Benjamin E. Mays High School Jazz Orchestra, directed by William J. Irvin. It's fabulous that these students and their instructors were able to make the commitment to join us today to kick off Career Tech Vision 2012. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the local committee for their tremendous help in arranging the entertainment, the student participants, and some of our key speakers. The Georgia ACTE and their team, especially those here in Atlanta, have gone out of their way to make sure that this meeting is one of the best yet. I also want to welcome and thank the CTSO students who greeted you as you entered the general session. I can't begin to tell you how excited I am about Career Tech Vision 2012 and all the changes that have been made to really help you engage, learn, and interact. At this dynamic new event, all the programming is centered on you to create a learning experience unparalleled in our field. With our unique business and industry focus, idea labs, and deep dive sessions, you'll learn firsthand how CTE is transforming the future of students, teachers, and the nation, and how you can help this movement. Over the next 3 days, you will be challenged to think in new ways, to evaluate your concept of CTE instruction, to share best practices one-on-one and in teams, and to lead the new vision of CTE in your institution and communities, transforming today's students into tomorrow's leaders. One of the new features of Vision 2012 is our partnership with two important organizations. First, the International Center for Leadership in Education's Model Schools, and the Southern Regional Education Board's High Schools Tech Centers that work. They're among the best in their field, and we're thrilled to have them aboard as part of Vision 2012. The sessions they're offering align with new directions in education transformation, enabling you to build upon and enhance what's being implemented in your institutions. Vision 2012 features over 200 exhibitors showcasing the latest products and services to meet your needs with more time to see it. The schedule includes exclusive exhibit hall time both today and tomorrow to give you the time you need to visit these businesses and learn about the tools and resources they have to help you succeed. Of course, networking is a huge part of Vision 2012. We're all stronger when we work together, and this is a great opportunity to make new connections and strengthen existing relationships. Also new this year is the Resource Center. Here you can talk with book authors about ask questions of experts in your content area and the ACTE policy staff. More importantly, network, learn, share, interact with the newest tools and resources exclusively for CTE. One of the business partners who has been extremely supportive of ACTE over the years is CEB Multimedia. And this year they again generously are sponsoring this morning's session. Please join me in welcoming CEB partners Clayton Franklin and Dusty Moore.
Nice music, it's great. Good morning. It's great to be here in Atlanta and at the Career Tech Vision 2012. Throughout our 29-year history, we have been proud supporters of career technical education, and we are honored to again be a sponsor for this year's opening general session. We know this week will be a great experience for you as you take what you've learned back to your states, to your districts, to your teachers, and your students.
As CTE leaders, we know you face several new challenges and obstacles each and every year. The continuously changing landscape of the education field brings about new mandates, teaching strategies, and technologies. As a curriculum provider, we know it is our responsibility to aid you in implementing these changes and create a product which not only helps you, but engages students. That is why we've spent the last year consulting teachers, administrators, and students to build a product which will do just that. We are very proud to debut today iCEV, CEV's new online resource for career and technical education. the powers of play, search, anytime, anywhere, partnerships and collaboration, and evolution, ICEV is meant to address and solve some of the challenges you and your students face on a daily basis.
There's no doubt the emergence of digital resources continue to expand in the classroom. According to a recent PBS study, 76% of K-12 teachers utilize digital media in their classroom. 72% are utilizing downloadable content from the internet. Furthermore, a majority of these teachers say digital media helps them respond to all learning styles, reinforces and expands on content they are teaching, increases student motivation, and enables them to demonstrate content they cannot show any other way. With the library of more than 35,000 minutes of video and more than 10,000 slides, graphics, and other images, ICEV provides teachers, administrators, and students the content to fully utilize the power of play.
You know, it's no secret that we all turn to the internet whenever we want to know something. Google has become a verb and has literally transformed the way we retrieve information for not only personal reasons, but educational as well. And while the power of Google and search capabilities of the internet is immeasurable, too often we can get lost in the amount of data and the time spent on these searches. Not to mention, not all content found online is appropriate, and in many instances not reliable or accurate to utilize in the classroom. Since our inception, we have always teamed with recognized specialists and educators nationwide to create accurate and appropriate content. ICEV embodies the power of search by providing a sophisticated search engine with quality educational content.
As a society, we are inundated with new technological advances and devices at an amazingly rapid pace. It seems like a new device enters the market almost every week. These devices bring a wealth of educational opportunity, but a device alone does nothing. It is our responsibility to help transform and create a tool that will turn these powerful devices into even a more powerful learning tool. With ICEV, our goal is to provide a platform accessible to all users, whether it's an iPhone, iPad, Kindle, BlackBerry, Blueberries, whatever kind of berry that students bring to school, use at home, or they feel comfortable using. ICEV meets the power of any time, anywhere.
As CTE leaders, again, we know that you're expected to develop strong ties to business and industry, as well as post-secondary institutions. However, we also know that this can be a challenge at times due to geographical, budgetary, and other limitations. For instance, take myself. I grew up in a small town in the Texas Panhandle, and sometimes it's difficult to create a partnership with an industry in Las Vegas or Miami or New York or somewhere like that whenever you're isolated in the Texas Panhandle. CEV has always prided itself on partnering with business and industry professionals to help develop those partnerships. The power of partnerships and collaboration is ever present with ICEV as it brings the world directly to the classroom by utilizing video and technology.
Technologies change, industry standards change, benchmarks and standards change, and your students change. The whole world is evolving around us, so why shouldn't your classroom curriculum evolve as well? Perhaps the most powerful thing about ICEV is its ability to evolve and change to become better to meet your needs and the needs of your students. We often refer to it as a living organism, which meets today's classroom standards and can swiftly adapt to meet tomorrow's. For example, with the introduction of the Common Core, we have altered our product to meet these standards. As hot topics develop within industry, we are now able to develop and deliver relevant content which addresses these issues as they arise. Whether a change in technology or a change in content, ICEV embraces the power of evolution.
We are excited to bring to you today a product which harnesses all of these powers. Currently, we have 3 ICEV sites: agricultural science, business and marketing, and career exploration. Our agricultural science site was first available for implementation this fall. Since its release, we've already had over 500 secondary and post-secondary institutions begin utilizing ICEV in their classrooms. The site addresses all subject areas for an ag science instructor, including animal science, plant science, agricultural mechanics and engineering, natural resources, and all of the other agricultural science areas as well.
Today is the debut of our business and marketing site. Featuring engaging video content, pre-made slide series, and other multimedia instructional tools, the site addresses all key subject areas for business and marketing education. Subject areas include computer technologies, Microsoft Office, finance, sports marketing, economics, entrepreneurship, as well as other business and marketing areas. Access to the Educator Resource Guide provides lesson plans for the instructor that correlate to the Common Core, as well as assessments, activities, projects, and vocabulary for the students. All Microsoft lessons utilize the City of Adamsville, allowing students to tailor their curriculum to fit their career interests.
Our third site is our career exploration site. This is the debut of this product as well. The site not only addresses personal development and career guidance, but also provides content regarding the 16 clusters and includes more than 800 candid interviews with business and industry professionals. The Educator's Resource Guide provides lesson plans featuring the Common Core, assessments, projects, and activities which aid counselors, teachers, and administrators in the facilitation of the career exploration process. We are excited about the opportunities the site brings to promote college and career readiness for all teachers, classrooms, and students, not just those found in career and tech ed classrooms, but campus-wide. With ICEV, every day is career day.
This week will be full of opportunity for learning and networking, not only for people like you, but also for your business and industry partners like ourselves. We relish the opportunity to attend this conference each year, to communicate with our customers and learn how we can better change our product to help meet your needs and your students' needs. And for this opportunity, we truly and sincerely do say thank you. In an effort to show our gratitude, by now you should have seen the card on your chair that has the key. Bring that back to our booth, and hopefully your key will unlock the chest and a chance to win many great prizes.
And our booth number is 131. You should be able to see us. We encourage each of you to stop by our booth to learn more about ICEV and, of course, have a little fun and hopefully unlock the power. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Clayton and Dusty, for your continued support of ACTE and CEV's commitment to career and technical education. Business and industry partners recognize the value of career and technical education and continue to support Vision 2012. You'll see a list on the screen of the sponsors who are helping to make your experience here at Career Tech Vision 2012 rewarding and enjoyable. Please join me in recognizing the sponsors who have helped make Vision 2012 the premier educational event for career and technical educators. Once again this year, each of you have access to the Vision 2012 app. This year's app will help you to navigate the rich program offered here in Atlanta. Please welcome the sponsor from KP Education Systems, Nye Wang.
Hi, I'm Nye, founder and president of KP Education Systems, where we help students learn above the cloud. That's because it's foggy in the cloud, right? Yeah. So, I know that joke completely went over everyone's head. And actually, just kind of like a little side, this dress here, I'm a techie. This wasn't intentional. I left my pants at home. But I am a tech geek, so I guess it fits. I'm here to talk to you about mobile learning and make 5 big announcements. Over the past year, I've built a little reputation about myself, known as Nye, the iPad guy. That's because I'm always here with my iPad at all times. I'm going to be speaking about it 3 times at this conference. So with my iPad, it's all about the convenience of having it right here in what many people call it, my man bag. But mobile learning is all about having the right tools at your fingertips. I can quickly get to my iPad like this, and like this. Sorry, that's okay. It's just a prop. This is my real one. I had to do it. So, good thing I got this mini. So in this age, we're living in a connected world through our smart devices. KP is proud to sponsor this year's slew of online tools during Career Tech Vision, where you can win an iPad mini like this and other prizes. Yes, I am dangling a carrot in front of you to try to encourage you to try mobile technology here at this conference. So the very first announcement I'm going to make is, backed by popular demand, we stepped up our mobile products from last year and we present Vision Mobile. Once again, you can quickly get rid of these bulky tree-killing things and use this instead. We're giving you 2 ways to use it. You can download an app for that on your Android or iPhone device, or you can go to the mobile website. Simply visit the site listed in your heavy program book, or you can scan a QR code located all throughout the conference. And if you don't know what a QR code is, ask a young person and we'll show you. It actually looks something like this. Stop by the ACTE membership booth in the expo hall to find out more information, or you can also go to kpacte.com and click on the first link. So that's kpacte.com. I'll say that URL again later. Now go ahead, do it now. Pull out your devices and do it now. I won't be insulted. There you can search your program, set up your agenda, and even take digital notes. All this information is saved right into your account. We have the power in our pockets. So you ever heard of the BYOD movement? No, not BYOB, BYOD, bring your own device. It's a movement that's going around the country, and we should all embrace it in our classroom. Kids are growing up not knowing that we had to go through lots of hell to get to our information. When I was a kid, we had the Dewey Decimal System. And you remember microfiche? All right. So second, on the app, we've added way more ways for you to interact with each other through social networking. So you don't have to meet each other face to face anymore, right? You can tweet with hashtag or #Vision12. So for those of you who don't know what a hashtag is, I'll show it to you right here. Hashtag is a # like this, and then you type in Vision12. Oops, that's supposed to be an S. I'm trying to do it upside down. 12. Does that look right? Yeah, okay. Hashtag Vision12. So if you tweet with that, then we'll be able to follow your tweets throughout the conference, and then you can follow me, and I'll be able to follow you through cyberspace. Don't forget to use that hashtag, or else I can't follow you. Third, you can win something just for having fun. You can win a Samsung Galaxy Tab, yes, we do love Samsung too, by participating in an online scavenger hunt. You can earn points by taking pictures with your smartphone around Vision and Atlanta. Just check out the scavenger hunt tab in the app for details. Fourth, how to win this iPad mini. No, not this one. You'll get a brand new one in the box. KP is again sponsoring the ACTE Knowledge Challenge. What I want to do is to get you to learn more about ACTE, CTE, gain knowledge points, and level up your K-bot, which is a knowledge bot in the system, in the platform that we created called KP Compass. This is the newest and most advanced learning technology used in classrooms today to help students learn with gamification. This is a PlayStation. So, the winners are the top 5 with the most knowledge points at the end of the day, on Friday. So one of you will go home with the grand prize, the iPad mini. Anybody here want one of these? Yeah. All right, they're awesome. Just come see me, I'll tell you all about it. Go to kpacte.com for more details. That's KP, which stands for Knowledge and Practice, ACTE, you all should know that, .com. Let KP Compass be your guide to online learning. By the way, you also got a little card incorrectly stating the Google Nexus 7. That's because Apple and their secret announcements, when we printed it, they didn't have the iPad mini. We could have called it the iPad Small or the large iPod Touch, but we chose the Nexus 7 instead. The last big announcement, and this is something I'm really proud of. E-learning is more than just putting static content online. A PDF or ebook is not e-learning. That's not innovation or taking advantage of the technologies in our pockets. Here at Career Tech Vision, we are announcing for the very first time ever that KP has created online PBL. That's project-based learning. We are able to facilitate project-based learning online, yes. It also has micro-credentialing and badging associated with it. First of its kind. We're expanding into new territories and it's really exciting. Come see us for more details at our booth. You can find KP next to the ACTE membership booth down in the expo hall, which is right down the middle. And you'll see the gigantic ACTE sign hanging over their head. We're right next to them. And yes, we also cover more subjects than ever before this year. Last note, I'd like to take a moment to thank you, the CTE educators of the future. As a kid, I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. I struggled with reading deficiencies and ADHD, but CTE and technology saved me. Like many kids you know today, I knew more than my teachers, especially my computer teacher, Mr. Butler. He taught me a valuable lesson on life, that exploration can be fun. With his wisdom and guidance, we learned together about the fascinating world of computing. Which brings me here today, standing in front of you, because I followed my dreams of merging my two passions, technology and education, and created a business to reach kids like me. Remember, online learning can be fun and easy too. KP, the official sponsor for learning and fun at Career Tech Vision. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wayne. Your vision and support's bringing the mobile world to our fingertips. I hope all of you take advantage of this service and continue to provide feedback on how we can make it better next year. The creation of a professional development experience of this size could not have occurred without leadership. That leadership comes from the ACTE Board of Directors. This year's Board of Directors are Administration, Jeanette Capshaw. Agricultural Education, Jim Flowers. Business Education, Sarah Heath. Engineering and Technology Education, Luke Steinke. Family and Consumer Sciences, Leslie Watkins. Career and, Ray. Guidance and Career Development, Ray Davis. Health Science Technology, Gina Riggs. Marketing Education, Leanne Dinsdale. New and Related Services, Clara Zebney Klein. Post-secondary adult and career education, Andrea Poe. Trade and industrial education, Jeff Johnson. Region 1, Nancy Tribbett. Region 2, Debbie Ford. Region 3, Dave Bunny. Region 4, Lori Carlisle. Region 5, Chuck Gallagher. Past President, Jim Comer. President-elect, Doug Major. Let's give them all a round of applause. I want to personally thank this team for their passion, commitment, and dedication to career and technical education and to ACTE. It's through their leadership that this association will continue to grow and prosper. I would now like to welcome ACTE's Executive Director, Jan Bray.
I want to welcome everyone to Atlanta and Career Tech Vision 2012. Today we are launching another step on the journey to the future. You know, it's no secret we're in this country, actually across the world, we're experiencing a tremendous amount of change. Much of it driven by technology, but everything within our school systems, within industry, within our own personal lives are changing. But ACTE at its core, while we embrace change, is all about leadership. ACTE's core purpose will not change. It is about providing leadership and developing an educated, prepared, adaptable, and competitive workforce. And while what we do and how we do it and where we do it might change, at the core of ACTE, its very essence, is leadership, and that will never waver. And we've provided leadership by stepping up in the policy arena. And yes, we're about Perkins, but we've also added the CTE voice to the national dialogue on the skills gap, on transforming education, and how to embrace technologies, about how does America regain its competitive position within this global society. We have stepped up with leadership in terms of outreach to business and industry. And business and industry tells us that they seek workers with 4 key attributes. They want workers who are lifelong learners who understand and embrace the need to continue their learning. They want workers who have a multicultural mindset and understanding because we are in a global society. They are seeking workers who have systems thinking, who might have excelled and learned one aspect in a technical area, but understand how it interacts with other things will change over time. And it wants workers who have the ability to communicate, both verbally and written. So the question for career and technical education is how do we continue to embrace that change and meet the needs of a dynamic workplace? How are we helping our end customer, business and industry, know that the end product, the people that you are educating, have those 4 attributes? And that's at the heart of what it's about and what we need. CTE is about economic success. It is about economic success for individuals, for communities, and certainly for this country. And if we are going to continue to achieve our expectations, our outcomes, we need to make sure that we are constantly adjusting and shifting our sails to make sure that we are meeting the changing needs for individuals, companies, and this country. But at its heart, and what will never waver, is ACTE's commitment to leadership. ACTE's commitment to the dedicated teachers, administrators, guidance counselors who put forth their energy and their passion every single day to help individuals and countries, communities realize their success. Winston Churchill had a wonderful quote that says, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." It is important for everybody in this audience, for all of your colleagues across this country, to embrace the essence of career and technical education, to come together as a profession, to have pride in being a career and technical educator, because together we absolutely make that difference. I have enjoyed every step of my 11-year journey with ACTE. I have had the pleasure and the privilege of working with a very dedicated professional staff who have worked long hours and put their heart and soul into supporting career and technical education. I have had the pleasure and the privilege of working with a passionate leadership team every year who give their time and their energy to make sure that ACTE remains committed and at its core about leadership. I have enjoyed every step of the ride. I thank you for letting me be a part of that ride. I wish you all a very great future, filled with your own personal success, reward, and fulfillment. Thank you very much. Introducing our panelists and our program for today's session. So please join me in welcoming our panelists and moderators to come on the stage. Our moderator for today's panel is McNulty, who is the Chief Learning Officer at Penn Foster, a world leader in distance learning and a senior fellow to the International Center for Leadership and Education, having previously served as its president. Prior to joining the International Center, he was a senior fellow at the Melinda Gates Foundation, where he worked with leading educators on improving our nation's high schools. Ray is past president of the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development and is the author of It's Not Us Against Them, Creating the Schools We Need, published in 2009 by the International Center. An educator since 1973, Ray has been a teacher, vice principal, principal, and superintendent. From 2001-2003, he served as Vermont's Education Commissioner. He is committed to raising performance standards for both teachers and students and to building a solid connections between schools and their communities. Ray believes strongly that education systems cannot wait for the children and challenges to arrive at school. Rather, schools need to reach out and help forge solutions. Next, we have Dr. John Barge, Georgia State School Superintendent. In his 22 years in education, Superintendent Barge has served as a high school English teacher, middle school Spanish teacher, assistant principal, and principal. He also served as the State Director of Career and Technical and Agriculture Education for the Department of Education. John has been recognized as a star teacher in 1996, as Georgia's Assistant Principal of the Year in 2001, and received the Berry College Alumni Association's Distinguished Award in 2005. Superintendent Barge has earned 3 advanced degrees, a master's degree, and a specialist degree from the State University of West Georgia, and his doctorate degree in educational leadership from the University of Georgia. Prior to becoming state school superintendent, John served as the Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction with the Bartow County School System. Dennis Branch is the Vice President of Human Resources for North America ACTE, a global leader focused on the design, manufacture, and distribution of agricultural machinery. AGO supports more productive farming through a full line of tractors, combines, hay tools, sprayers, forage equipment, Tillage implements, grain storage, protein production systems, as well as related replacement parts. Their products are sold through 4 core machinery brands, Challenger, Fendt, Massey, Ferguson, and Valtra, and are distributed globally through 3,100 independent dealers and distributors in more than 140 countries worldwide. Retail financing is also available through Agos Finance for qualified purchasers. 2011, ECHO had net sales of $8.8 million. Mike Wiggins is the Executive Vice President of Human Resources at Southwire Company. Wiggins began his career at Southwire in 1969 in the Carrollton Utility Products Plant as a steel stranding machine operator. He moved through various supervisory positions, becoming quality manager in 1979 and director of quality in 1985. He was named Director of Human Resources in 1988. In 1995, he was named Assistant Vice President and promoted to Vice President in 1999 and to Executive Vice President in 2005. Wiggins earned a bachelor's degree from the State University of West Georgia in Carrollton, Georgia in 1971. Then we have Randy Dorn, who is the State Superintendent of Public Instruction in the state of Washington. A lifelong resident of Washington State, Randy has been an elementary and middle school teacher, a principal, and a legislator. For 9 years, he was Executive Director of Public School Employees of Washington, the second largest employees organization in Washington State. In 2008, Randy Dorn was elected Superintendent of Public Instruction. In his 3 years as State Superintendent, he has replaced the existing state assessment system with a shorter system, argued successfully against cuts to education funding, expanded early learning opportunities for all students, and championed an updated teacher and principal evaluation system. He also established partnerships with major businesses, including Microsoft and Boeing, to help students with real-world skills they can apply to the job market or the classroom. Shan Cooper is Vice President of Lockheed Martin Aeronautics Company and General Manager for the company's Marietta, Georgia facility. She is also responsible for the company's sub-assembly sites in Meridian, Mississippi and Clarksburg, West Virginia. In addition, she served as the company's Vice President of Business Ethics. She was named to her current position in January 2011. As General Manager, she is responsible for more than 7,500 employees, employed at the Marietta operation, which designs, produces, modifies, and maintains military aircraft for the United States and countries around the world. Mrs. Cooper previously served as Vice President of Human Resources for Lockheed Martin Information Systems at Global Solutions, based in Gaithersburg, Maryland. An experienced operational leader, she was responsible for all at-risk aspects of human resource functions for 36,000 employees, based in 48 states and 64 countries. You have an absolutely dynamic panel here with phenomenal credentials, and I know you're going to enjoy what they have to say. I know you're going to listen with open minds, and Ray, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks very much. So I know you've been sitting for a while. We've been out back having a conversation. Sometimes panels can be a little dry. I'm going to promise you that we are going to cause some excitement in this room as we go through a series of questions and thoughts about education. One of the things I want to say as I start off is we're going to go down the first time I ask a question, we're going to go down the line. After that, it may end up being a free-for-all, and hoping that this panel causes you to leave here feeling like you need to do something, and you need to do something now. So I'm going to start my conversation here with John and ask a general question. And the general question goes like this. I work for one of the largest online learning companies in the world, Penn Foster, and one of the things we strive to focus on, and one of the things as an educator I've always believed, is that the aim of education is not to have our students do well in school. It's to have them do well in the lives they lead outside of school and life after school. So my question to the panel is kind of pointed, and it goes like this. Is the current system aligned to deliver on success after school? And if not, what are we going to do to fix this thing? So John, it's on your plate first.
All right. Well, I would say that the current system, probably not. We have focused for a long time, in my experience being a high school educator, on our goal being graduation and crossing the stage. Without thinking and without regard to, is this child ready for success, regardless of the pathway that he or she follows when they leave us, whether it's a college or whether it's to work or whether it's to the military, whether it's to a 4-year school or 2-year school, a specialty school. Are they ready? And in many times we haven't focused on that particular issue. That's one of the reasons that in our waiver from No Child Left Behind here in Georgia, we created a system called the College and Career Ready Performance Index. And our goal is to make sure that we have students who are ready when they leave us for that next step. So I think that the first step is recognizing that we are in a system that's about 50 years old and we haven't changed. And we must change in order to prepare children for a world that's dramatically different than it was even 10 years ago.
Sounds good. So John, being an educator, I'm going to go next to you, Dennis, and the idea of as an employer. Talk to me about this.
First, I'd like to say what a great opportunity it is to be here with this particular audience. And as we were talking in the back, I'm very excited about the things that we can share with you that hopefully you can take back into your classrooms and bring into the workplace through your students. When I look into this audience, I see Melba Turners, Dwight Busbys, Walter Gowans, Randy Kids, individual teachers that had an impact on my life far beyond just whether or not I wanted to go to school or college. I would answer that question in a similar manner. We find that in our manufacturing locations especially, that many of the students that come in, we are having to spend hours, which equates to money and productivity, to do education on very basic things like learning how to read a measuring tape, how to measure tolerances for quality purposes, how to work collaboratively in a team with a commitment to process improvement and lean manufacturing. So we're doing a lot of entry-level basic education and training to ensure that our new employees, who many of which are recent high school graduates, not all of which are, of course, have those skills and abilities.
So you spend a lot of time training those people that you have that arrive.
Yes.
And I know, Mike, at Southwire, you guys have had to really invest a significant amount of money in that. So what do you think about this? Are they really ready for life or work after school?
We initiated a little operation in January 2007 called 12 for Life. It's a real manufacturing plant staffed exclusively by at-risk high school kids. We passed out the first checks, which would have been 2 weeks after January the 4th, which was nothing magic about that day. That's when the kids came back for Christmas break. When we passed out those checks to the kids, one kid said, Mr. Groom, who was our guy leading the effort at the time, Mr. Groom, you said we were going to make $8 an hour, and I worked my 20-hour shift. 8 times 20 is 160, and I didn't get $160. We said, oh my God, it's worse than we thought. So immediately we began to put things in place to teach life skills, to teach preparation for life. The state has been incredibly supportive of the things that we are doing. And so are we ready? Heck no. We're nowhere close. But the fact is, there are beacons of light out there. We happen to believe that we're one of them. And through John and the State Department's offices and with the support of the governor and his group, doggone it, we're gonna make a difference.
Thanks. So Randy, you're State Commissioner of Public Instruction, State Superintendent in Washington, and I know your career as being one of career readiness. So are our schools ready?
No, I don't believe that schools are preparing kids for life. They're preparing them for college. School and career ready is mostly college ready. If you put up the first slide. Where do students in our educational system get these things that I believe employers ask for? Our students, be here when humanly possible. Be on time when humanly possible. Be friendly. Get along with all types and kinds of people and culture. Be polite. Use logical words like thank you, please, and you're welcome. Be prepared not only with your toolkit, but with your mind. Never come under the influence of drugs or alcohol or the residue from the night before. Not including tonight, though. Okay. And then, be a good listener. Be a doer. Be a quality worker. Be a positive risk taker. And if you do those things, that person will not only be a success, but so will the company that they work for. Those are some of the things that we're missing, that I think that we need to actually instruct students on and what's expected of them beyond high school, beyond schooling. Next slide. The other thing that we do a horrible job in is actually counseling and kids understanding how they select a career. Asking questions like, do you want to work inside or outside? Do you want to work by yourself or with a lot of people? Do you want to grow things or do you want to build things? So the CIA stands for that we should have a way of helping kids figure out what challenges them, figure out their interest, figure out their aptitude. And when they do that, then we match them up to the education or training they need to get to where they want to be. And where they want to be is to wake up in the morning and go, all right, this is so cool. I woke up and I get to do what I like to do, and somebody's going to pay me to do it. That's called a career. If you get up and you go, oh crap, I got to go to work, I got a job. It's just to work to get the money to do what you want to do on the weekends. There's a big difference and a big disconnect. And I want you to know, the most expensive career exploration program we have in the United States is a 4-year university.
I knew I would have one person that would do this. I appreciate that, and as the introductions were going along, and we got to Shan's introduction, and I was watching 7,500 employees. I mean, building things that I can never dream of. And one of the things you talked about out back was the idea of security clearance for employees and all of that thing. So the question, are we in our schools spending the right time on the right stuff so that you're getting the people you need to do the important work that you do?
First of all, good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here this morning. And Brandon, I have to say a no to that. When you think about a company like Lockheed Martin, we're in national defense, so think about that. And so it's important to me that you're successful because I typically have to hire from our nation's talent pool. So I'm limited in my ability to hire foreign nationals. National security, keep that in mind. So you're important to me. The other thing I would say, when you talk about being life ready, many of the folks that we're hiring, I've got a kind of a two-pronged kind of workforce. Understand I need as many engineers as I can get to build those wonderful aircraft, but I also need welders and plumbers, and those folks have to be able to come into a company like Lockheed Martin and get a security clearance. Now, I don't want to stereotype, but ask the next time your plumber comes to your home, ask him or her if they have a security clearance. Most of them will probably say no. They're very challenging to get. There's an in-depth background check. So you talk about being life ready. The first thing they look at when you're getting a security clearance is, guess what? Your financial situation. Have you managed your financial abilities successfully? Because we don't want you to be able to sell secrets, right? And so it's those life lessons that we find that as students or new college graduates or what have you, are coming to the workplace, we're having to, like you talked about, Dennis, take the time, talk to folks about these things you just talked about as well. And so it'd be nice to be able to know that I've got folks who are entering the door, who have great learning agility, who understand problem solving, that they're not there to kind of regurgitate what they've heard, but they can actually apply what they've learned. Because in Lockheed Martin, in most cases, it is rocket science. And so I do need the best of the best, okay? And so help me in that regard, and I can get some sleep at night. But we've got some work to do.
So it seems like on the panel there's somewhat of a consensus, and I think this room is full of people that are engaged in the work of getting all of our students career ready. It sounded like we should just be focused on career ready because that seems to be a path that makes tons of sense. But one of the things that I see as an educator that I'm concerned about is I hear the word collaboration. I actually heard it from most people up here on the stage. Collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. But what I don't see, quite frankly, in the education arena is much collaboration with business. I see more collaboration with colleges and universities. I see them saying we've got to have our curriculum aligned to college entry requirements. We must have our curriculum aligned to meet the needs of the colleges. And I support what you were saying, Randy, about, it's a pretty expensive future if that's all we have. So I'd love to get an understanding from you all here. When I think about the report, Pathways to Prosperity, it talks about pathways and bringing honor to career, not just the word college. So, what's happening? What are some things that we could do to bring honor to career and not just college? Any thoughts?
If you don't mind, I'll start with
John.
One of our main initiatives since I came into this position was we supported legislation with our legislature, House Bill 186, which was passed and signed into law, that says beginning in the fall of 2013, so next fall, every high school freshman entering Georgia high school must have a career pathway. And we're in the process now working with business and industry. We have adopted the National Career Cluster model, which is 16 clusters. 16 clusters. But we've added a 17th cluster in Georgia, one that is specific to energy, because that is one of the fastest growing fields of occupations for students who are in school now when we talk about renewable energy and clean energy and alternative forms of energy. Each of those clusters has an advisory committee. And my charge to our folks was each of those committees must be made up of at least 50% business and industry. And so each of those committees right now is meeting, and business and industry is driving the discussion to say, what are the pathways that we need for students in the state of Georgia? Because quite honestly, economic development and education are inextricably linked. And our communities will not be successful unless we have a quality educational system that not only provides them an educated student, but a prepared student who has the skills necessary to be successful. So we're working with companies like Siemens. Siemens is offering us curriculum. There's no sense of reinventing the wheel. People like me, I'm a lifelong educator. I cannot tell you how to apply a certain skill in a manufacturing plant at Lockheed, but Lockheed can. Yeah. So come to the table with us and tell us, how do we teach this standard in a relevant way that students understand it? And so there's no sense to reinvent that wheel. They've got the curriculum already. Let us see what that curriculum is. Work with us to put this in a package where we can deliver it in an educational setting so our students are prepared.
Can I just add one thing to that? And I don't know if you all feel the same way as I do, but there seems to be a lesser value placed on learning outside of the classroom than in the classroom, or learning in a college versus in a place of work. So, it sounds exciting to reach out to the businesses to get this to work. Yeah. Anyone else want to add a piece onto that? Shan?
Real quickly to that, to tell you what John did. I came into this job in January of 2011. When you come into a new job, you want to know who all the major players are. Education has always been a passion for me, and so I invited John out to the plant, and he came. And we had a conversation, and it went something like this. John, here's what I'm going to need in the next 3 to 5 years. I can tell him exactly what I'm going to need in terms of skill sets, in terms of capabilities, in terms of competencies. And that was a great discussion, I think, for us to have. So I don't consider it a collaboration, I consider it a partnership. Because John's going to keep me in my hire, he's going to keep me in my job, thank you, John. Because he's going to build a talent pipeline that I can't build. But my competency is building aircraft, highly technical aircraft. His competency is building the talent and the workforce of the future. Our working together is what's going to allow both of us to be successful. So I look at my workforce, my average age in Lockheed Martin is 55. Now I recognize that 50 is the new 30, I get that. For those of us who are, go ahead, Brian.
I'm with you on that.
Right. But again, I looked at my product line. I've got an aircraft I've been building now for 57 years. That knowledge continuity and those new ideas are very critical to my business. So to have him come out, spent about half the day with us watching and looking and seeing the application of engineering and welding and those kind of things. It's really important to me. So I really thank you for the partnership. That's what we have to do, is a real partnership with the state.
Good.
Certification, credentialing, going forward, you're going to have that in every program to prove that kids actually learn what they learned. That's extremely important. I think every program that we have has to have an industry standard that we have to meet. And if you don't do that, I think business doesn't know if it's good or bad, so there's got to be a certain standard. We did this collaboration or partnership. We have done it in a big way with the Boeing company and Microsoft. North Carolina did it, the IT Academy, where we take Microsoft's curriculum, put it in every high school in the state, license the computers in the high schools, and then students can take, Word and PowerPoint and take the certification for free. It's a partnership. State put up $2 million, Microsoft put up $20 million to be in every high school in the state. A mentor from Microsoft has a connection to the high school. We're doing that to have regional areas for Boeing, and not just in the area where the manufacturing is, but all over the state, because we know that there is a need. I think education and training has to be matched up where the need is in the economy too. That's one match we're not doing. We do it much better in the community colleges than we do it in the university level.
But Randy, one of the things you said is about competencies and certification and all of that. And so I'm interested in that because, the way we assess most of our students is fill in the blank, color the dot, choose one of four. And when I look at the 10 things you put up on the screen, I don't see a way to get anybody to figure out how you understand what that's all about. We're looking for, the employers I've been hearing want people to do things that you just can't assess through what we in education usually use as a typical assessment. So it seems to put us in a situation where we're now faced with the new Common Core state standards. And I don't think anything on your list appears in the Common Core.
I'm going to be real short. The only thing I would argue on that is when I was in the 5th grade, we had citizenship. And if I tell you, if I didn't get the E for excellence versus the S for satisfactory, it's the only thing my dad cared about. You didn't get a U for unsatisfactory on citizenship. So, we've kind of moved away from that, but you know what? Teachers understand who has those. I don't know how they do it, they know which kid would be in those categories. And I tell you, business would like to know that for somebody coming forward. Do they have those kind of skills?
So I know in the business world, Dennis, you're in HR. I mean, how do you look at these people coming in and judge what they can do? I mean, can they, the Penn Foster team was in Caterpillar and they were saying to us, we can't get people to show up on time. So what do you look at?
That is actually a very big problem for us. The first 2 bullet points really caught my attention. Be here and be here on time. And as we've had to modify the expectations of the criteria for our newly hired employees, especially in our manufacturing locations, away from the experience and having demonstrated those technical competencies in the past, we started looking at job performance and their ability to keep a job for some period of time. So we would even take individuals out of the service industry, people that had nothing to do with manufacturing, but had demonstrated their ability to come to work and work evening schedules, rotating schedules, and be there on time. So we had to do that and then build our training academy to close the skills gap that those individuals did not have. Because the ones, quite honestly, that did have it, did not show up or show up on time, and it was a big detriment to our productivity and the teamwork, that environment that we have in the workplace.
Yeah, Mike, you have a thought about that? I know you want to jump out.
I'm about to jump out.
I know. I can tell.
Let that one go. One of the maybe the key that we must all pursue, we must all be strongly committed to, and that's creating real partnerships between education and business. And I believe business has to lead that. If I take our own company, we back up 30 years, we started testing students almost 30 years ago. And we brought educators in, superintendents and principals and those kind of folks in. And we tested them We didn't pick up their papers, but I could look in their eyes and see that they said, uh-oh, this is not good. But we did that because we made the commitment to our community all those years ago that we're not going to hire anybody that doesn't have a high school education or a GED. We did that in part to support education. Right behind that became no tobacco. Right behind that became we're going to do random drug screens, and all of those things shook the community, shook our company. But folks, we are not in the greatest position this country's ever been in now, and we are headed for a really, really tough time if we don't all join together and do something about preparing our kids for tomorrow, whether that's a job, a good job. Last time I checked, we better have manufacturing for a long time to come. For one thing, we got 5,500 people who make a living doing that. And we've just got to prepare. We touch all realms of education at Software Company. We've got a manufacturing Center for Manufacturing Excellence at West Georgia Technical College. I hope somebody's here from West Georgia Tech. We've got our own university. We're about to do an honors program there. We do all kinds of work with Georgia Tech. We're proud of that. But primarily, we've got to prepare our workforce. We've got to get a qualified workforce for today, tomorrow, and the next generation. If we fail that, it's not going to be pleasant, folks. It's not going to be pleasant. Whether you're an educator or a business person, the time for partnerships, and it's one of my pet peeves. People throw that word partnership around all the time, don't have a clue what it means. If it's real, it works. If it's real, things happen. If you don't believe it, come over to Carrollton, Georgia, and I'll show you up close and personal.
So one of the things you said, Mike, was that business should take the lead in this collaboration. And here's what I hear when I'm out in schools and when we're talking with educators. Just say things like this: I'm too busy for that. You know what, my plate is full. Not only that, but I'm getting, as an educator, if I'm a teacher, I'm getting judged on my test scores. I'm not getting judged on my employment rate of my students. So as I'm sitting here, and I didn't prep them on this one because it just popped in my head when we were talking, and I look at two state superintendents, we're starting to judge students on, starting to judge teachers on the performance of their students in the school. But shouldn't we be judging the schools on the performance of their graduates in the workforce? Shouldn't that be one of the things that we ought to think about? And get the monkey off the back of many of our educators who are saying, I need to get this person ready for work. So Mike needs him in a certain way, and Shane needs him for a certain way, and Dennis needs him a certain way, and we're fixing them all the same way. So I'm just interested in what you think about that crazy idea.
Well, I think that you're right, and I think that educationally we find ourselves in the, I guess, the post-No Child Left Behind era, where we have tried to package everything into a test score. And not everything can be measured in a test score. And that's one of the challenges that we're facing here in this state as we look at trying to meet the requirements of the student growth model.
Yeah.
Measuring students' performance from the beginning of class to the end of the class to determine whether a teacher has taught a student. Well, not every subject can be tested, with a multiple choice test. And a student who comes into a PE class running a mile at 10 minutes, who leaves that PE class running a mile in 8 minutes, has made progress. But we don't trust teachers to measure that. We don't trust teachers to report that. And so it's a challenge for us, I hate to be politically incorrect, but I think
that's okay because it will stir controversy.
Well, we have a level of I call it academic arrogance, that everything is a four-year college degree. And it's not. I mean, I wouldn't be here without a four-year college degree. I mean, don't get me wrong. If my daughter plans on, she plans to be a veterinarian, she's got to go to college.
She can come to Penn Foster. We do vet tests.
There you go. But not every occupation requires that. In fact, we couldn't sustain everybody with a four-year college degree. And we're selling our kids a lie to tell them that you have to have a four-year college degree to be successful. And so we've got to do a better job of that.
Actually, one of the things John's mentioning is that on Tuesday of this week, I was at the Sloan Business School at MIT. We were having a conversation with some of the Penn Foster leadership team with a guy by the name of Joel Meyerson, who heads up the higher education focus at the business school. And he said something very profound. And what he said was, the promise of a job that the colleges have provided our students, and if you come and get a four-year degree, you will get a job. That promise has been broken. And he basically said, we have millions and millions of students amassing incredible debt to find out when they leave after 4 years there is no job. And we have about 40% of college graduates in the workforce working in jobs that a four-year degree is not needed. So it's seeing exactly what you said. We're seeing this, but Randy, what about in Washington?
Well, I really believe the path we're going down with the 11th grade Smarter Balancer Part test. It's a college and career ready test. It's truly, to me, a college ready test, and that's what it's going to gauge. So at some point, we're going to have to say it really is a college ready. It's different because what I heard college ready described as, what's college ready? That you go to the university and you don't have any tutorial in math and English. I mean, that was kind of the description. So there is absolutely different two paths that you could go. They both should be honored. Like I tell a lot of people, no, you need the same requirements to get out of high school, 3 years of math, 4 of English, 3 of science. And so that means that everybody's going to have at a minimum Algebra 2. And like I try to tell some people, that usually I call them the room of suits, and what I try to tell them is, there's going to be a group of kids that don't need Algebra 2. And they go, no, everybody needs Algebra 2. And can you imagine the amount of money we're going to spend if every kid has to get to proficiency of Algebra 2? Now, statistical data and financial literacy, I think, might be a way better class than Algebra 2.
That would help Mike and his students.
So I want people to know my challenge, my state board of education, I serve as a member. Not only if all 15 people have a 4-year degree, but I'm the only one on the board that went to a community college. So it all worked for them, so it's in their head that it's going to work for them. We should have an aerospace machinist on the board. We should have somebody out of the hospitality industry on the board. It should be a more diverse group of people that are talking about what does it take to fulfill the quality of life we have in the state of Washington today. The discussion should be along that line instead of every kid getting that, go to college, promises a career job at the end. And I have a young man that lives in my house, 33 years old, 4-year degree in teaching. He's a paraeducator and a football coach. And he believes he's gotten shortchanged. His mom thinks I'm totally incompetent because I can't get my kid a teaching job.
So, I love that. So I think about this, and I think, when I look at the business folks here, and I think we're educators of business as well, but I look at the business group and I say, I know companies that say they will only hire college graduates, and I hear that, and it sends a message at times, I think, to parents that this is what everybody needs, and it really strikes a kind of a nerve. So one question I have, and this is kind of, a radical thought, but do you really need us? The business people, because it sounds like you have to take and reinvent and develop the people that you really need. Do you really need all these people? maybe we should stop, you know?
I'll speak first to that.
I need you, but go ahead.
I absolutely need this crew, in my opinion, more than the ones that provide us with the college graduates, because when you look at the number of employees that we have, the vast majority of them are not college graduates. We certainly need that. While it's not rocket science, I would tell you agricultural equipment is not your grandfather's tractor, and it's certainly not your grandfather's combine. It's a very, very technical piece of equipment that requires a tremendous amount of engineering. But after the engineering phase, someone has to build that. Someone has to perform the maintenance on that. Someone has to understand the hydraulics and the electronics and how it really works. And that's the vast majority of the employees that we have, not the engineers, the actual builders and the maintainers of that equipment.
Yeah. Mike, yeah.
We've got about 5,500 people. I think I mentioned that earlier. About 4,500 of those are manufacturing, production people, and we're very proud of that. So, do we need technical education? You bet your life on it. We make the stuff that powers these lights, and maybe it's rocket science, maybe it's not, but it's pretty sophisticated and pretty competitive, and it has to be done right. And the people who do it have to do an excellent job, be they forklift operator, extruder operator, whatever they may be. But we take a different approach, and that is we call every person, from the CEO, the chairman of the board, to forklift operators, to whomever they may be. They're, number one, they're a business person. And number two, they happen to have a function that helps us run that business and make that business successful. There must be technical education. There must be technical training. Where would we be without electronic technicians? Holy cow. That's ludicrous to think that we don't need you. And that we don't need more of it. And that we don't need you pushing and shoving just as hard as we do every day to get a higher and higher level of skill. But we need, for when we get that person from you, that we can put that person to work, and we don't have to speak. We need to fine-tune that person to our methodologies, to our production equipment, to the systems that we operate. That should be a fine-tuning process, not a developmental process because of deficiencies. And when we get to, we recently advertised for 40 hourly jobs in Carrollton, Georgia. We got 1,300 applications. We're a pretty good place to work. We can pick and choose. But will it always be that way? Not unless we stay at the very top, and not unless you stay at the very top, and not unless the middle schools and the high schools keep ratcheting that up of teaching life skills, communication skills. We're working on a lab as we speak. And I asked some of our people, what should we put in that lab? This is for at-risk kids, but it's going to be a real quality lab. And a really smart guy, I was aggravated because I didn't think about it, said, we got to have some math in there. Doesn't matter whether they use, he's not talking about calculus now, he's talking about arithmetic. But he said the value of math is it teaches people to think.
That's right.
It teaches kids to think. Beyond that, we need to teach communications, because communications is what life's about. All of these things that we've been talking about fall under those categories. Teach people to know about life, what it takes to succeed in life, life skills. We bring bankers into our facilities. We bring lawyers into our facilities. We bring people to help us teach life skills. And we just got to keep ratcheting that up, because we've got to be competitive wherever we go on this planet. And I don't even like the reference that we don't need you guys, and I know you would be, I don't care what you were.
I was trying to poke at you.
Trying to poke you again.
I was trying to poke you in the eye. That's right.
We need each other. We need each other. And there's a lot at stake. I need to hush.
No, it's okay. Shan.
No, I strongly agree with Mike. Let me tell you, Lockheed Martin, our chairman and CEO, running a $46 billion organization, is a graduate of Slippery Rock Community College.
All right, Pennsylvania.
So we have to be real careful about how we talk about education. Because if we had the mindset where he had to come from Harvard or Yale, he wouldn't be in the role today. And as you look across our business, you'll see that. Because again, what we're looking for again is of those individuals who can come in and exhibit learning agility. I just need to be able to learn and stretch, operate in a world of ambiguity, be a good problem solver, work well on the team, those kinds of things. And so those are skills, some of those things we're going to be able to teach you, like you said, when you come on board, but some of that we just need you to come with that. And so I get real concerned, because oftentimes when I'm on these education panels, we spend all of our time talking about four-year institutions, and that is not always the answer. And so I spend a lot of time, as Johnny Whitaker, who's with me today, my head of community relations, will tell you, I spend a lot of my time with teachers, because I don't think we give them enough credit for what they have to pull off. In many cases, parents are absent, so teaching happens in the classroom, but it's got to continue when you get home. I can remember growing up, during the summer, my friends got to be out playing. My mom made us go to the library. You had to read so many books during the summer. Now, I hated her, I'll tell you, okay? To be real honest, this is a crazy moment, but I appreciate that so much today. So parents and caretakers have a role to play as well, and so I like to be in the classroom with the teachers, first thanking them and reminding them that I need you because I couldn't be a teacher. I don't have the capability, I just could not do that. It takes a very special person to do what you all do. And I remind them, understand that you're a teacher, yes, you're an educator, yes, but you're in the only role that touches every other career choice. None of us businesses get to do that. Yeah. But they're planning the future for the country, and especially for economic development. It rests right there. And so I like to spend a lot of time with our teachers, giving them credit and thanking them for what they're doing.
Well, it's really important. It's very important, and it's very honorable because, in my career, I've had a lot of chance to meet with business people, and when I was at the International Center and at Pentecostal, we're meeting all the time with businesses. And they're saying, well, how hard can teaching be? And so what I generally tell people that think about the job of teaching, when business people, I usually say to them, look, why don't you have your child bring 10 of their friends to your house for about 2 hours, all right? And then take those 10 children to the mall. And when you're all done after another hour at the mall, tell me if you want to be a teacher, because that's just 10. Now we're going to give you 100 kids in a day. We're going to channel them through. It's a whole different world. But I know, John, you wanted to add to this conversation.
I just wanted to follow up on something that Shan said earlier. Shan, you talked about our visit when I first came in office in 2011. And one of the things that stuck with me that you said that is driving a lot of our vision is at the time, over 50% of your workforce could retire within 5 years. And there weren't people in the pipeline necessarily to fill those positions. And my numbers may be off, but what I remember is a comment, something to the effect of, for every one engineer we need 10 sheet metal fabricators, okay? And what we have to stop doing, again, a 4-year degree is important for those engineers. 4 years and beyond. But we have to stop promoting that degree at the expense of every other form of education preparation. Because I'm going to quote Mike Rowe here, who says, we have so disparaged the trades and we've been so focused on getting into the corner office that we forgot how to build the corner office.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's great. So, I know we started a little late, so we're going to go about 10 minutes more. And one of the things I wanted to ask of you all, because I was thinking if I was sitting out there, what would be a question I would want to hear from each of these different people. And the one question is this, is that if you were the czar, if you were the person that had all the control, and the schools didn't exist, they just weren't there, and we were starting a new nation called McNulty or something, whatever. But we have this new nation that you could build a system. What would be one or two things that you would make sure would be in that model of a new school or a new way of learning? Because You know, we use the word school, but I think it's really learning. And so, how would we think about that? Anyone want to jump in first?
I'll start. I think for me, the easiest way to answer that question is to think about the existing gaps. And we've talked about some of those here today. So if I were building this new system of learning, I would make certain that individuals work together in teams or units rather than individually, because in our manufacturing locations, it's not measured upon an individual, it's measured upon the output of the team, much as we are most likely measured on the performance of our department, function, or organization. It's still an individual and important component, but we find that there is a lack of an ability to do that through interpersonal skills, which was mentioned before, communications, also a logical process around continuous improvement, understanding the process but looking for ways to improve it. And that can happen not just in the manufacturing environment, but in anything that the individuals choose to do. How can I make this process more efficient? How can I do this with fewer time, money, people, whatever the case may be? Those are big gaps for us. And then, as I mentioned before, the attendance. I remember in school there was high levels of accountability around attendance. It's certainly not the educator's job to train the people to be on time, but you can certainly enforce in the real world how important that is. And we believe at ACTE that our manufacturing jobs, not just our engineering jobs, but our manufacturing jobs are a career. That we think you can make a successful career with us, and these are not sweatshops. These are highly innovative work environments with robotic equipment, the state-of-the-art manufacturing and painting solutions, things that our customers demand. And you have the opportunity to come in there, but there are expectations that you will be drug-free, that you will show up on time, and that you will work within a team and be problem solvers and innovators and push those. So I believe that's a gap for us. And before I pass it on, I want to say one other thing to Sheehan's comment. As the husband of a school teacher, I have a tremendous respect and understanding at home of how much work you bring with me, how much time with you, how much time you spend, and also what most people outside of your profession may not know, how much of your personal money you spend. Yes. I know that as well. So it is a continuous job, 24-hour job for you. And I have a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation, and like Shan, I could not do it. So that would be my answer to the question.
Anyone else want to chime in on what would you do?
I really focus on application of learning. I think we spend so much time getting kids to memorize and remember things. And when you're in the workplace, probably for all of our organizations, we want you to come in and be able to apply that. So could we have a learning system? You know, one of the things I've tried to address this is I have an Explorer post, Boy Scout Explorer post. And I did Explorer because I want the girls to be included too, ladies. And I bring the kids out, and you should see how excited they are to actually be able to get in a simulator and fly an aircraft. And they want to ask questions, how does this work behind this? And they get to walk across the C-130 or whatever. And it's just a different kind of learning. And it starts their imagination going. And so we play right there. Can you find a way to have it be an applications approach to learning versus always just sitting in the classroom? And I know that there's cost that goes along with that. There's funding that seems to be done for that. But I think that's going to allow us to be as competitive as other countries. Because there are countries who are gaining on us. Think about India and China, right? So that application is real key for me.
Well, you're so right. You know, when I think back to my career in education, I don't remember the day I learned double-digit addition, and I don't remember the day I learned, you know, about the Magna Carta or any of that, but I do remember the days we engaged in real-world learning, when we went somewhere, when we did something for real, and so that's what we all remember, you know. Randy,
the one thing that I think that I would do...
Oh, you got your Chevy.
Yeah, I got the Chevy, but I want people to know that to really change education, you would have to start off with the beginning teacher at $50,000. And you have to put the top teacher at about $85,000. And the reason for that is let's not BS anybody here. We do not get the top people in the education field to go into education. We don't get them. We get the lower third in our four-year universities picking education. And it would help to get the top people, and it would be very beneficial. And when you make that transition from industry over to education, in a lot of places, we do not give you any credit for the experience you have from industry, and you have to start at ground zero. So we have to promote that back and forth and cross-pollination. And the only way, I believe, is you've got to elevate it, and I know money isn't everything, but you've got to elevate it for that. What gets in our way is what I call nostalgia. Everybody remembers this car, 1957 Chevy. And it is the most favorite recognized car in the United States. Now that car does its job. It gets you to and from school. You know, you can use it, but you would not pick this car as the car to transport your kids to and from school because it does not have the 21st century safety devices. It doesn't have shoulder harnesses, doesn't have seatbelt, doesn't have airbags. It pollutes the air. It's not, efficient enough. It doesn't get high enough gas mileage. Although we love this car, which we love the K-12 system because it worked for us and for a lot of our kids, it's not going to work in the 21st century to match up with the global economy. So we have to change it, and we have to expand where kids learn, and that means expand the walls of our educational system to technology also. So kids are learning outside 5 days a week, 6.5 hours a day. You have to expand that time, and technology is the use that's going to make it happen.
Sounds great. Sounds great. John, what would you do?
I'd echo some of these guys, because Randy, you're exactly right. We don't get the top because they can make so much more money out in the field doing what they know. But to Shannon's point, get them out of the stinking desk.
Yeah.
Get them doing something. Get them engaged in learning. The research is very clear that over a million students a year drop out of America's high schools without a diploma. And yes, some of them drop out because they struggle academically, but an overwhelming number say that they drop out because high school is unrelentingly boring and irrelevant. We're boring them to death. Okay? We can absolutely teach Pythagorean's theorem in the construction class using the 3-4-5 rule as they put a rafter on a tool shed without putting them in a desk with a pencil and make them memorize a formula. So, and I would do away with the Carnegie Unit of Credit. And this arbitrary number, Randy, that we set at a state level that every kid has to have this many units of credit in order to earn a high school diploma. With the Career Pathways initiative that we have, what I would love to see at some point is let's do away with this, and a student who is going into a technical college or a four-year college or into the world of work, you finish high school, you earn your diploma when your pathway is complete. Because we know kids don't learn the same way or at the same pace. And if a child can finish their pathway in 2 years, more power to them, let them go.
Absolutely.
But if it takes some 5 or 6, what's wrong with that? Because our goal is making sure they're ready for the next step, not just to give them a piece of paper.
So here's what I want to do. I want to do two things. I want to say a couple of things. One, the first thing is this. It's been my honor to be a moderator with this distinguished panel this afternoon, because it is afternoon now. We started in the morning. It's been great. And I picked up a couple of things that I really think are important to say. And the first is I think from listening to you and from seeing the 57 Chevy and listening to the comments, I really think the enemy of our system, quite frankly, is not resources. The enemy is not some other business. The enemy is the status quo. We just can't have the status quo exist any longer. So one of the things I love to provoke you to do, and provoke you all to do, is to, as I was listening, to change the language that we talk about with our kids and with our grandchildren and whatever. But that it's about being career ready. That when we throw the word college in there, it really sends a mixed message. It's about being career ready. If you want to be a doctor, you know what your career path needs to be. If you want to be, like my son, a linesman, he knew what his career path was to be. And that's really the focus. And unfortunately, we hear college career, college career. I'm listening to you today, I think one big thing this conference can begin to do is set the pathway to career, because that's what it's all about. So with that, I want to thank you all for sharing your thoughts, and I turn the program back over to ACTE President Karen Mason. Karen?
Thank you, Ray, and panelists. You've given us a lot to think about and have set the stage for an exciting, insightful, and provocative summit. CTE has an important role to play in economic growth of our communities and the country, and your conversation has put us on the right path. I wanted to take a minute to remind you, before I do that, there's something I need to do. I gotta veer from the, I'm a classroom teacher. And I have a very, very supportive school district. I live in Missouri, if some of you can tell by my accent. And I have live in a rural district. I teach in a rural district. My administration is here, and I'm very glad they were here today. My superintendent, Todd McCracken, my principal, Scott Charlton, and our marketing teacher, Denise Stafford, and my agriculture education teacher, John Littlefield. And I'm glad that they're here. These people have been supportive of me and have helped me to do the things that I do. And I wanted to thank them. I also want, my husband's here in the crowd today. Some of you think I'm not married most of the time because you never see him, but my husband's here and my daughter and her friend that we've had the opportunity to let her travel with us some, and I just wanted to recognize them because without them I couldn't be here today. So thank you all again. I do need to remind you about the CTE Support Fund, and your contributions to the CTE Support Fund are what help to sustain the advocacy work of ACTE, which, as we all know, is especially important these days. This year, the CTE Support Fund has a table located at the ACTE booth at the entrance to the exhibit hall. Your contributions to this fund help support the work of teachers and the success of students. In addition, the CTE Support Fund is hosting a state basket auction today and Friday in the ACTE booth number 631 in the exhibit hall. You'll be able to purchase the raffle tickets for chances to win the state baskets at the ACTE booth and at the CTE Support Fund table. Please plan to visit the New Vision Resource Center located on the second level. You'll be able to review and purchase resources, meet with authors, chat with ACTE division representatives, and get answers to your questions from our content specialists. A schedule of authors and experts who will be in the center can be found in the program insert. Again, this year we're collecting individual session evaluations, but we need your help. As you walk into each concurrent session, please scan the card you got with your name badge. This will record which sessions you attended. Beginning tomorrow at noon, you can log into the evaluation system at any email terminal and enter your badge ID number. It will then retrieve the sessions you attended and you can enter your evaluations. If you don't do this on site, on Monday, you will receive an email directing you to evaluate the sessions. Once you complete the evaluations, you'll be able to download and print your certificate of attendance. During Saturday's closing session, you'll be provoked, encouraged, and challenged by our guest speaker, Roland Fryer, award-winning Harvard economist, education activist, and collaborator on the best-selling book, Freakonomics. We'll also be recognizing the winners of the 2012 National Awards that recognize the best career and technical educators in the nation. The doors open at 10 a.m. and the program starts promptly at 10:30 a.m. Now I ask that you exit through the back doors for the opening of the 2012 Career Tech Expo. Have a meaningful, informative, and enjoyable day. Thank you.